All right, I think let's get us started. So, presentation with our friend Andres Bisono Leon, who's from the Dominican Republic, and he's a student fellow at the Legatum Center. Completely different part of the world. Another important setting in terms of natural ecosystem that we need to look after. And he's coming up with an amazing innovation to look at how we can solve actually two problems at the same time, both in terms of pollution, but also carbon removal. So let's hear from him. Welcome, Andres.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Rem. Thank you, Dina, and the entire Legatum Center. Sorry in advance for any background noise. I had to call this morning or this afternoon, depending where you are from the airport. So bear with me. So again, sorry in advance. But anyway, so here I go. My name is Andres. I am from the Dominican Republic. I'm also a second year student at MIT Sloan and lead SOS Carbon, which is an MIT spinoff from the mechanical engineering department. I'm also my country representative for JUNGO, which is a the UN Chamber of Youth for Climate Change. So since 2018, we have been leading the R&D to develop climate technologies, not only to solve a regional environmental crisis that we're having in the Caribbean, but also to transform that underlying problem as a means for mitigating climate change and generating other chains of value. Now more than ever, I feel the need to get involved and put all my energy into climate action that drives forward our commitment and the emerging markets role into fighting climate change. As I said, I'm from the Dominican Republic. I'm more than 10,000 kilometers away from Egypt, where COP is taking place. But apart from our smiles and our unique culture, I think the only one of the few things that are common between our nations is that we are facing many of the same issues caused by climate change. We are well aware of, in some places, how fires are taking place, in others like Egypt, how floods are taking place. In the Caribbean, climate change is showing up through seaweed invasions. These seaweed invasions called sargassum. When I came across this situation, and as a mechanical engineer, I felt the need and the call for stepping up and start looking and developing cost-effective technologies to properly face this huge problem. Current practices, like the use of heavy machinery on the beach, are only aggravating the problem, costing the Caribbean more than $120 million per year at the minimum. Plus, again, the many other environmental consequences, not only caused by sargassum itself, but again, because of the irresponsible activities and the way that we're managing the situation. Tourism has been documented to be, and the major destination has been documented to be losing from 7 to 35% only due to sargassum alone. And we have been seeing how year after year, because the tourism sector and governments not having the proper mechanisms to deal with the problem, are just going and implementing costly and ineffective measures. At the end of the day, the local communities, our countries, our region are the ones that are mostly suffering due to climate change. For example, this past summer, the US approved a state of emergency to USBI because of sargassum affecting power plants and affecting their water intake and the water desalination plants as well. So this problem is becoming to be a major, not only catastrophe, environmental catastrophe, but also something that is threatening our day-to-day. But I do think there is hope, and I do think when I look back to the Caribbean, that we can secure not only our beaches but even transform the problem, as I keep saying, to be a way to even mitigate climate change and generate other chains of value. I will tell you now what we're doing for that. So before I get into what we're doing, just to recap, there are three main things here: climate change, the ineffective and high cost of the different technologies and measures that don't add value, and the sargassum itself. As an engineer, the one formula I will appreciate they told me way earlier in my days was just this one. And this is a formula our advisor from the mechanical engineering at MIT designed and came up with. I guess after his many years of engineering experience, he realized as well that there can be just a one formula. And basically what this is telling us that depending how we see the problem and putting it 1 over SAT, we can turn it into a positive thing, not only as a solution, but also as a means for obtaining many benefits from such underlying problems. So kind of recouping, and again, I don't want to overcomplicate, but just for you to see what we're doing at SOS Carbon and the areas that I lead. So we're taking 1 over climate change, the cost and sargassum invasions, and we're translating that to be climate change mitigation, social development, and sustainable tourism and environment. And obviously that gets to an exponential factor based on the amount of groups and stakeholders that we have working united. So what we're doing, we harvest sargassum before it makes landfall, and we extract it also while it's fresh, not only solving the problem and avoiding the many consequences that it creates to tourism, the local environment, human health, but also we allow for it to be used as raw material because it is not contaminated, it is again fresh. So this is part of our collection operation in which we hire and formally employ the local communities. And then we directly take the sargassum into an efficient ground operation to be taken to the end destination, in which it also includes processing. This past year, we have been working with key partners on the processing side. We shipped 5 containers of fresh seaweed to a partner in Finland that is processing it in cosmetics and pharma. And we keep making progress with, again, these partners because this is a united effort. We cannot do it all either. And with that said, for plastics from sargassum, biostimulant, which is like a form of fertilizer. So again, it can has many values. So why this is exciting? As I said, it's not only because of the change of value that we're generating as a use of as raw material, but also because we're including the local communities. We're generating formal employment, and this can be a win-win circular solution for all. So the other benefit is that from seaweed, we can mitigate the underlying problem of climate change itself. Seaweed absorbs high amount of carbon and methane, and only from 10% of the amount of seaweed that makes landfall through the Caribbean, we can reduce more than 2 million tons of CO2 per year. That's, again, just from 10% of the seaweed that makes landfall. Again, I want to, as I'm getting into my conclusion, I want to emphasize the importance of working united and having all stakeholders together, because as it has been mentioned already by Dina, by Reem, and as we have seen as well in the prior presentation, it takes a lot more than just entrepreneur. It takes the capital, it takes policy, it takes everyone. And I think working together, we can again create those win-win scenarios for all stakeholders involved, especially bringing the most value and impact to our local communities that then can translate even into a global one, into global impact. again, thank you for having me today, this morning, this afternoon, and yeah, looking forward to connecting later on with anyone.
Thank you very much, Andres. And thank you, Ehab. These were really interesting presentation to see what types of solutions are emerging